welcome to the first ever Cooking with the SDSU Ivy Food Pantry. I am excited for this first cooking event. This is an opportunity that opens up
Hello, can you hear me?
nutrition.
We
Yes.
cannot hear anything. Bueno, I cannot hear.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear us. If you can hear us, thumbs up. Can you hear us? Thumbs up if you can hear us. Yes. Okay, thank you. So I'll start over again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cooking with the SDSU IV Food Pantry. I'm excited for the first ever cooking event for the SDSU IV Food Pantry. This opens up an opportunity to learn about nutrition education and how to cook recipes. The guest speaker today is Vanessa Alvarizares. She'll be conducting the cooking demonstration and teaching about nutrition. And the behind the scenes person that will be helping us out throughout this whole Zoom is Eddie Lopez. They are both from the Imperial County Health Department, and I'm very grateful to have them here. I want to say thanks to the AS for letting us use their space for this event. Hopefully, we continue to do more cooking events. A few things before I pass on the mic. Please, if you have any questions, write them down, or you can also put an emoji like a little hand or something to indicate that you have a question. And also, I'll be taking attendance through the chat. So if you're coming from a class, because it's extra credit, write down your name, class name, and professor, and I'll be sending those out to the professors. Thank you, and the floor is yours, Vanessa.
Thank you. So, hi guys. My name is Vanessa Alvarizares, as Melissa mentioned. I'm a health education specialist for the nutrition program at the Imperial County Public Health Department. And yeah, I'm really excited to do this activity with you all. We're gonna do a awesome recipe. I know you guys got the food kits, so I did get the same ingredients that you all have. And we're gonna also talk about nutrition. We're gonna go really into it. We're gonna talk all things nutrition. I would really like this to be interactive. So if you all have any questions, as Melissa mentioned, put them in the chat, raise your hand if you want to talk. I mean, I would prefer that you guys speak and we can have kind of a conversation. And I encourage you to ask questions. There's a lot of information about nutrition that's controversial. So this is your opportunity to clear some things, ask any questions. You're probably not the only one with that question as well. So please, let's have an interaction. As we go along through the presentation, there's going to be opportunity for you all to share. So I highly encourage you to share. If not, that's okay too. We're going to go ahead and get started with our presentation. If you don't mind putting up the slide. And if you don't mind putting the booklet in the chat. So we're going to have a booklet. There's a booklet that you all can follow along. This is a digital copy, but I'm going to leave what is it called? The actual booklets in English and in Spanish with Melissa. So if you all want to share this information with your family, go into the pantry and then you can go ahead and take those booklets home. So if you want to follow along, there's the PDF of that, and then let's get started. So the presentation that we have today is called Activity Plus Eating. And we're just going to get the slides show up. Oh, I see. Um, we can see the screen. Sorry, technical issues. Because you're going to share your screen. Go back to the beginning. Okay, so the lesson for today is called Activity Plus Eating for Adults. It does apply to the entire family. We're gonna obviously be talking about yourselves, but I mean, when you learn about nutrition, this applies to everybody, right? So it's designed to complement the booklet that you have, this presentation, and this is a conversation, right, that I want to have with you, and I encourage you to interact. Can we do next slide, please? So just to get you guys a little bit excited, here's an image of the recipe that we're going to be using today. This is from a website called eatfresh.org, and I highly encourage you all to check out that website. Once again, it's eatfresh.org. This is an amazing resource. You have like over 500 recipes. You can filter it by vegetarian, or if you only have a microwave, or if you only want to use a microwave. There's lots of filters, lots of options. There's very diverse recipes too. So if you want to try like an Indian type meal, then you can look for that. And there's so many different types of recipes. There's a lot of opportunity to learn about nutrition as well. So check out that website. That's where this recipe is from. You're going to notice from the recipe that there's some ingredients that are different that are in the kit. And the reason that they're different is because we want to promote the pantry, right? So that's the purpose of what we're doing. This is a partnership that we have with Melissa and the SDSU pantry. So the ingredients that you all got doesn't match the recipe, but that's okay. The recipe is kind of like a base. So what we're gonna do is modify a little bit, which is fine. A lot of times when I follow a recipe, I end up modifying anyway. So that's what we're doing today. It's gonna come up again. I will share the recipe with you all as well. And so what we're gonna do as far as preparing the food for right now, because I'm gonna be talking for a little bit, probably about halfway, I'm gonna get the water going so that we can boil the pasta. So when it comes time to prepare the meal, then I'll go ahead and have the pasta ready. So it's going to be a little bit mixed up in there. So for now, what I'm going to do is just put some water, and as the recipe states, it says to use half a pound of pasta. That's basically, if you all got your box, half a pound of pasta. If you notice on the packaging, right, you're always gonna, if you're interested in seeing how much you're gonna get out of the food, I always look at, right, the amount that's down here. And as you can see, in this whole box of pasta is 1 pound. So if we're using half a pound, we're just going to use half of the container. This is going to serve 4 people, and they're each going to get 2 cups. So it's going to be a lot. So what I'm going to do is use half a pound. And I already made it look nice, and I put it in this bowl. So I'll be pouring that into the water once it's boiled. So what I'm going to do right now, just to get the water going, is I'm going to put 2 quarts of water into our pan. When you're making pasta, it's really important to season the water. What does that mean? It means just to put a lot of salt. And the reason you put salt in your boiling water, I'm just going to put it on low for now. The reason you put salt in the water once it starts boiling is because it's going to flavor the pasta from the inside. So as it puffs up, as it cooks, it's going to absorb that salt, and you're going to end up with a much tastier meal in the end. So that's the reason why it's important to season your pasta water. And so that's going to look like putting salt in it once it starts boiling. All right, so let's get into the nutrition part of our session today. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's an opportunity for questions. This, I don't really, if you want to share, you can. If not, this is just to kind of put us in the mentality of nutrition and where we stand in our partnership with the pantry. So over the last 12 months, how often are these statements true for you or your household? Number 1, you're worried whether our food would run out before you get money to buy more. And number two, the food that you bought just didn't last and you didn't have money to get more. The reason that this is in the presentation is because we may not realize that there's a lot more people that are in the same position as us. And that's why the pantry is such a great resource, because a lot of people do experience these types of the access to food is a little bit limited. And that's why the pantry is here. And that's why we're promoting it, because we all go through it. And the pantry is here for that reason. So come on into the pantry, and then you'll go ahead and see the other options that you have, including with what we have today. So next slide. So let's talk a little bit more about nutrition. Let's get in the headspace. So what are you currently doing to keep your body healthy? And you can share or not, it's up to you, but a lot of times we think we're not doing enough. And honestly, in a perfect world, it's really hard to do everything that's possible to keep your body healthy. So think of the small things. Like, are you good about drinking water? Do you make sure that you have vegetables in every single meal, or at least some vegetables every single day? Do you look at the nutrition fact label? Are you concerned about sugar? Do you limit your sugar? These are things that you might not realize that you're already doing to keep your body healthy. And just keep in mind that you can always do more. There's always going to be more. And when people are trying to be healthier, they get overwhelmed with the amount of things that you can do to live a healthier lifestyle. So one of the things that we're going to be talking about throughout this session is to start small. Like I said, it's overwhelming when we're trying to live a healthier lifestyle, because there's so many things that we can do. There's always something that you can do. So start small, and we'll get into it a little bit more. Okay. So what does healthy eating mean to you? So the areas we mentioned, right? So wellness. So we need to focus on nutrition, physical activity. Does anybody want to share what healthy eating means to them? Anybody? To me, eating healthy means having a colorful plate. If you all notice here, I have these food models. They're fake. But do you see the colors that are up here, right? We have green, we have yellow, we have some red, we have some even white, we have some pink. For me, eating healthy is having a colorful diet, right? And when I say diet, I don't mean the word diet as in being on a diet. It means that the food that I'm consuming on a daily basis. So for me, it's about eating the rainbow, eating all the different colors. Why? Because every color of the food offers different nutrients. So for me, eating healthy is eating the rainbow. Right, next.
In the chat, we have someone said getting at least 3 meals a day taken, and Joseph said getting the right nutrition without eating unhealthy foods.
So eating at least 3 meals a day and eating right nutrition. Getting the right nutrition. Yeah. So a lot of times when we're thinking about getting the right nutrition, and this is something that we'll talk about in a little bit, but we have to know how to read food labels, because a lot of times we're thinking that we're eating healthy, and some of these companies will sneak in some sugar, or other things like that. So trying to be healthy is really hard. And I'm glad that you are actually putting that effort into being healthy and eating those 3 meals a day, because that gives us the opportunity to combine the different types of foods that we should be aiming to eat throughout the day. This actually is my plate. I'm sure you all recognize this. It's all over the schools, right? So these are the 5 food groups that we should aim to eat throughout the entire day. This is based on the USDA's dietary guidelines for Americans. And so there was a lot of research put behind developing these 5 food groups. And so if we're eating 3 meals a day, then we're able to eat the foods from all of these food groups. Okay, so we learned a lot throughout the pandemic. I know we heard a lot about self-care, right? So self-care means a lot of things to a lot of different people. but primarily self-care means, let's read the slide. It says, means paying attention to and supporting one's own physical and mental health. And like I said, we heard a lot about it. We even tried some self-care. I know I did. And that looks like a lot of different things. So what research tells us is that sleep, exercise, nutrition, mindfulness, and nurturing environment can reduce stress hormones and enhance the ability of the brain to recover. So it's 5 main components of self-care. So it's not just doing some meditation. I mean, let's think about this. Like, how do you feel when you have like a heavy fast food meal? And then how do you feel when you have like a nice colorful plate, like some chicken, some brown rice, a bunch of veggies? How do you feel? Right? There's a connection between your stomach and your brain. When you have a healthy gut, you can think clear. So that is why nutrition, physical activity, when you exercise, you release endorphins. You feel better, you feel stronger. There's a reason why nutrition and physical activity are one of the 5 most important components of self-care. So we just want to emphasize the importance of nutrition, and that's why we're talking about this today. So good nutrition is self-care. So it plays an important role in self-care to help buffer adversity, build physical and mental resilience, and to improve overall health. So this is the important part. Wholesome foods as opposed to highly processed foods. Healthy eating pattern, support physical and mental health. So like I said, think about how you feel when you have a really heavy meal. You might want to, maybe you feel a little bit lazy, and you don't want to do anything when you have a really heavy meal. And so that's it affecting your mental health. So it does matter the quality of the food that you choose to eat. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. So as I mentioned, we are going to go over this booklet. If you want to follow along, you have the digital version, or whenever you come into the pantry, you can get the booklet and look over it with your family or by yourself. Next slide, please. So on this slide, this is page 2. And page 2, we're going to discuss some reasons we might want to consider making nutrition and physical activity changes to improve our overall health. So this is kind of like an assessment for ourselves. Next slide, please. So in this section of the page, there's a couple of questions. As it says there, it's a reality check. So you don't have to share your answers, but kind of go over the answers and see which ones apply to you. So are you often trying the latest diet? Do you feel guilty if you eat your favorite foods? Do you often skip breakfast? Do you spend 2 or more hours a day watching TV or using the computer? So healthy eating is a pattern of nutrition and wholesome food choices that people make over time. So healthy eating is personal, and how one person arrives at their healthy eating journey may be different from another person. Some people do well on a vegan diet, and some people just cannot focus. They don't have any energy. Everybody's different. And so you need to find what works for you, right? So consider your own habits. What are your barriers? What are your goals related to health? And as we go through the topics, you're gonna see what speaks to you, right? What could you do? What is possible for you? What seems like, oh no, I can never do that, right? So there's always going to be something that you feel you can do, and there's always going to be things that may be challenging to you. But this is your opportunity to see, what can I do? And if this is an opportunity for me to start here.
Livia put in the chat, I try to eat at least 2 meals every day with a healthy salad or vegetables on my plate.
Yeah, that's excellent. And, I just actually saw all of my social media is nutrition, physical activity. And so I just saw yesterday, and you would think like this is easy to do, but to eat 1 salad a day, if you just try to have 1 salad a day with a good protein, you'll cover most of your veggies that you need for the day if you just do the 1 salad a day. So that's excellent that you're doing that. And by incorporating vegetables in your only meals, the 2 meals a day, I hope that they're big meals, right? So, and you'll know whether if you have energy or not. You'll know if you need to maybe add a snack or another meal, but I'm so happy to hear that you are including those vegetables, because that's a challenge for a lot of people. So awesome. Okay, so if you mark yes to one or more of these questions, you may feel ready to make healthy changes and become more physically active. You guys are in college, right? So maybe you were athletes in school, maybe you were physically active and now not so much anymore. That's what happened to me. That's what happens to a lot of people. So we need to find the opportunities to maintain that physical activity. Walking is underrated. And you guys are walking. If you're here on campus, then you do a lot of walking. If you get your at least your 10,000 steps, then you're doing so good. A lot of people find it challenging to get to their 10,000 steps. So at minimum, if you can do some walking, the weather is awesome right now, right? So I try to go outside and be outside, go to the park as much as possible. Got to take advantage of this weather. That's a really good, it's a really good way to get your steps in. Just go outside. All right, next slide. So am I at a healthy weight? So weight is only one indicator of health. And this is a little bit, yes, weight is important, but you can be super buff, all kinds of muscles, and you're gonna weigh a lot, obviously. And so a lot of people get discouraged when say they're trying to lose weight and they're using weights when they're exercising, and they get discouraged because they see the scale either doesn't change or it goes up. Well, that's because of muscle. So weight is just one indicator of health, but it's not the main indicator. And so I just want to make that clear, right? Their question, chat. It's related to how to eat better. So Joseph is asking, what ingredients should be in the salad? Oh, that's a good question. So in a salad, a lot of people think that a salad just needs to be vegetables, but if you think about it, vegetables are very low in calories. They don't have any cholesterol, or they don't have any sugar. So awesome, right? Even if we have the biggest salad with no protein or fat, we're gonna be hungry pretty soon, right? So yes, all the veggies. Think of all the colors. Personally, I skip the lettuce because the darker the green, the better. So I'll stay around spinach because the darker the green, the more nutritious, but also the more bitter. So depending on the way you like the flavor of your salad, personally, I prefer spinach. So I'll do spinach. Think of the colors, right? So then I'll put some carrots or some bell pepper. There's all the different colored bell peppers. You have orange, you have yellow, you have red, you have green. Or you can put carrots, cucumber, avocado for fat. Guys, fat is very important. A lot of people are scared to eat fat. There's healthy fats like avocados and nuts and seeds and fish like salmon. And then there's the unhealthy fats, which is like fried foods. Basically, ultra processed foods is also high in fat. And these are the fats that we want to limit. So if we put a fat in our salad, that'll keep us fuller longer. So a fat in the form of avocado, or maybe some nuts or some seeds that you can put, like some pumpkin seeds. I like to put pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds. I love to put that in my salad because I like that crunch also. And it'll keep you fuller longer. And most importantly, protein. You need a type of protein in your salad. So fish, chicken, beef, garbanzo beans, a plant-based protein, right? So beans, these are garbanzo beans. Edamame, which are these as well. Edamame is actually a soybean, and this is a plant-based protein. So to sum it up, you need your veggies, right? The more colors, the better. And then a protein and a fat. And that's gonna make you a good salad that's actually gonna keep you full. But I would minimize the ranch or maybe skip it altogether. I don't know. I mean, this depends on your goals, but a lot of people are surprised that ranch isn't the healthiest dressing. And a lot of times if we're trying to be healthy, but then we just pour in that dressing, that's adding a lot of calories. So choose wisely with your dressing, maybe like low sugar for sure. And we're going to talk about nutrition facts in a little bit, but you need to look at the nutrition facts to make sure there's not a lot of added sugar in this dressing. I would go with like some olive oil, maybe squeeze some lemon, some orange, get creative. You can just Google it and you'll have so many options, but I would be aware of the amount of dressing that's in the salad. Any other questions? Melissa's letting me know what's popping up in the chat. So. All right, guys. So yeah, so like I said, this tool up here is just kind of like an assessment for yourself, but I wouldn't take it too hard. I mean, yeah, sometimes you're in the overweight category and you're like, but I'm not, you know. So just this is to use your judgment. It's just an assessment, right? So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so now we're gonna go to page 3. And this page is gonna be talking about choosing foods that have a lot of nutrients for not a lot of calories. And so, as I mentioned, the foods that have a lot of nutrients but not a lot of calories are vegetables. Next slide, please. All right. So as I mentioned, we need to choose the quality of food. So as you can see, we have 2 columns on the sides. We have the column that says eat more, and then we have the foods that we should eat fewer. The reason why, let's focus on the eat fewer, right? Refined starches, added sugar, processed meats, other highly processed foods. Notice it doesn't say don't eat. It just says eat fewer, right? We're trying to think of how we can have a balanced, healthy lifestyle. So eating healthy and exercising, it should be your entire life goal. It shouldn't be just this month or just this year so I can lose a couple of pounds. I mean, you could, but is that sustainable? Is your methods for doing that sustainable? We need something that's sustainable. You guys are young, your bodies are working so amazingly to keep you healthy, and your body can adjust, it can adapt, it can calibrate itself, right? When you eat those hot Cheetos all day long and Gatorade all day long, and that's all you ate. Not yet. That I feel like I'm describing like high school students too, but anyway, so your body is working amazingly right now, but we're going to reach a certain age where all of that is going to hit us, right? So what we're trying to do now is prevent those health issues. Do y'all know anybody with type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, right? So these are the consequences of eating unhealthy for all these years. And then we reach a certain point where our body's not adapting as well. And that's when we run into health issues. So to have a balanced lifestyle where we can still eat these foods is necessary, but we need to focus more on the foods on the left, the eat more column, whole and minimally processed foods. Foods like fruits and vegetables, all the foods from the 5 food groups, basically. Milk, cheese, yogurt. We're going to get into detail about these food groups, but vegetables, fruits, whole grains, lean meats, seafood, beans, and nuts. I heard a little. Okay, so now we're going to talk about food labels. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is the tool that is important for everybody to understand when they're choosing healthy foods. I spend a lot of time at the grocery store when I'm buying like a product that I've never bought before, because I'm constantly comparing nutrition fact labels. And unfortunately, that's what you have to do. You have to look at the packaging. You have to look at the ingredient list. You have to look at the nutrition fact labels if you truly want to pick a good quality food. So let's talk about the nutrition fact label. A lot of times when people look at a nutrition fact label, what is the first thing that they look for? It might be calories. It might be sugar. It might be fat, cholesterol, right? Yes, all of these things are very important, but there's one piece of information that we need to look at first in order to fully understand the rest of the nutrition fact label. And that's going to be the section that's in blue. So that's going to be the serving size and the servings per container. So why is this important? So let's pretend you're at the store and you want cookies, and you get like a little packet of 6 cookies, and you look at the nutrition fact label, and all you look at is calories, and you're like, 100 calories, sweet. But you didn't notice the serving size and the servings per container. The serving size is 2 cookies, and the servings per container is 3. So actually, you're having 3 times the amount of calories. So you're having 300 calories instead of the 100 calories that you thought you were having. because you didn't look at the servings per container first. That's why it's really important to look at the very top, the blue section on the slide. So in this case, it's a low fat milk, and this is 4 servings per container. So, and each serving size is 1 cup. So there's 4 cups. This in the whole container is 4 cups. If you were to drink this entire container of milk, then if you're worried about your calories, then you would multiply the 105 times 4, and that's how many calories you're actually consuming. So that's why it's really important to understand that information. Now, as you can see on the rest of the nutrition fact label, there's some color-coded items. Everything that's in orange should be limited. Fat, cholesterol, sodium, definitely sugar. So let's talk about fat though, because as I mentioned, there are the healthy fats. We have avocado, one of my favorite fats. Right, avocado, I can have that on anything. I'm not concerned about the amount of calories I'm getting from my avocado because I know it's a healthy fat. For individuals that are counting calories and then they put it can be scary when you see the amount of calories that you're having on the avocado when people are concerned about counting their calories. But like I said, that's a good fat. You want to have all that fat. It's going to keep you fuller longer. Avocado has a lot of fiber, right? So there's a lot of nutrients that you're getting from this healthy fat. Also from nuts and seeds like peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of the best fats that you can have, but you do have to be careful. And this is when we're talking about reading the labels. Peanut butter only needs to have one ingredient, and that's peanuts. When you look, if you have peanut butter at home, go check it out. You might notice that there's, I don't know, some peanut butters have 5 ingredients. Some of them have like 20 ingredients. Really, as I mentioned, you only need the one ingredient, peanuts. And a lot of people are kind of, when they see this, or have you seen at the store the peanut butter that is like the oil, and then you see the peanut butter, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of gross. But that's the natural peanut butter. That's what you want to get actually. When you see it all combined, there's extra ingredients in the peanut butter that keeps it nice and creamy. So it's not necessary. That's an additional ingredient that's not necessary. So get the peanut butter that has the oil and the peanuts separated. I get mine at Walmart. I think it's about $3. So there's some around, and I know a lot of times healthier food can cost more, and that's true. But also, call some people out. A bag of chips is $5, but so is a bag of grapes. So yes, healthy food can be expensive, but it also can be affordable. So peanut butter sometimes will be expensive. I also get my peanut butter from Costco, and I know a lot of people shop at Costco. You get 2 big containers for like $12, and there's the one ingredient in there, and it's just peanuts, and it's so good. It's really tasty. So that's another healthy fat that it can be healthy, but it also can be unhealthy. So that's why we have to read the label. So as I was talking about the ingredient list, rule of thumb, the shorter the list, the better. The longer the list and the more words in there that you don't recognize or are harder to pronounce, then that just means that it's more processed. And if we're trying to be healthier, if we're trying to help our body be healthier, the less processed, the better. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're looking at labels. Also, another thing to notice on labeling is a lot of companies will put like some green on there, a word in green or a green color to make you think it's healthier. And sometimes we fall for it, right? But say bread. If you're looking at a loaf of bread and you're looking to have whole grain bread or whole wheat bread, right? The main thing is whole. So just because you see a loaf of bread that's brown does not always mean that is 100% whole wheat or whole grain. So the companies will put whole grain on there, contains whole grain. It needs to say 100% whole grain on the packaging. If it doesn't, that's okay. It doesn't always say that, but this is where you have to practice what we're learning today, right? Look at the ingredient list. The first word has to say whole. It'll say whole grain, it'll say whole wheat. It depends on what type of grains they're using for that bread. But the first word has to say whole. If the first word says enriched, that means it was more refined. It's missing some nutrients. Yes, it's this color, it's brown, because they kept enough nutrients in there, or enough of the whole grain in there to make it this color. But if it says enriched, once again, it's more processed. You're lacking some of the B vitamins that you get in a whole grain. You're lacking some fiber that you get in the whole grain as well. And if you compare the calories, it might look the same. The carbohydrates might look the same, but you're missing on some nutrients. And if we're trying to be healthy, we want to give our body more nutrients. And that's the important part. Another thing to notice is that a lot of whole grain breads have sugar in them. So this is where it's tricky, right? Because it's going to be hard to find a bread that doesn't have any sugar in it. Why do they put sugar in the bread? Because it makes it taste better. So sugar is addicting. If we have food that has sugar in it, it's going to taste better. We're going to want more of it. So like I said, it's hard to find a bread that doesn't have sugar in it. So the best that you can do is stand there, compare the nutrition fact labels from all the different breads, and get the one with the least amount of added sugar. You also have to consider the price. You have to consider if really is whole grain. So there's a lot of things to think about. And that's why I spend a lot of time at the grocery store, because you know, you have to really pay attention to the ingredient list, the nutrition fact label, the sugar, right? Let's talk about the sugar on the nutrition fact label. I love that FDA made this mandatory for companies recently, maybe like a couple of years ago, where all the companies now on the nutrition fact label have to identify how much added sugar is in the food. So as you can see here on the nutrition fact label, the last orange line is, okay, right above that, it says total sugar 12 grams, right? And then under there, it's 0 grams of added sugar, meaning there's no added sugar. And side note, this is milk and there's 12 grams of sugar in there. That's a natural sugar. There are two types of foods that have natural sugar, fruits and milk. So the natural sugar found in fruits is called fructose, and the natural sugar that's found in milk is called lactose. So when people are lactose sensitive, lactose intolerant, their body has a hard time digesting that natural sugar that's found in milk called lactose. So it's really hard to, well, actually nowadays it's not. You're going to find, if you just look for regular milk, it's always going to have sugar, added sugar, lactose. For people that want to avoid that lactose, then there are some milks that they filter it out. And like, I think a brand is called like Lactate, where they take out that sugar. And so people that have these lactose sensitivities are able to still drink cow's milk, and they won't have those effects on their body. So I just wanted to point that out. But let's talk about that loaf of bread. And so if we're looking at the sugar for the loaf of bread, and the way the ingredient list works is if there's the most, it's like by weight. So if you see sugar in like the first 3 ingredients, that means there's going to be a lot of sugar in that bread. So you'll probably see the nutrition fact label as like, let's pretend that this nutrition fact label right here on the slide is for that bread, and we're focusing on the sugar. So if the bread says 12 grams of total sugar, and let's pretend it said 10 grams of added sugar. So we're talking the bread, 12 total, 10 added. How much do you think is natural sugar? Well, that's going to be the 2 grams, because it's not going to say natural sugar on the nutrition fact label. But if you pay attention to the added sugar, that's going to tell you how much is added. And then you just kind of subtract, and then you can see how much is actually natural. So what I always aim for is the least amount of added sugar is going to be the most important piece of information. And then lastly, on the nutrition fact label, we have everything in green. We want more of, we want all those nutrients, right? We want all the vitamins. We want all the fiber. Fiber is important for digestion. It keeps us fuller longer. The more fiber we eat, the better. sorry. I think we should all aim to eat more fiber, but when you increase your fiber, you also have to increase the amount of water that you drink because fiber kind of passes through your body and your body doesn't digest fiber. And what it's doing is helping your body clean itself out. So you need that water to kind of help it move along. So where can you find fiber? Whole grains, bread, tortillas, corn tortillas, oatmeal, brown rice. Sorry, I need to drink water. And then, sorry, excuse me. And then on the skin of fruits and vegetables, a lot of times we throw away the apple peel, the cucumber peel, what else? Potato peel. We're throwing away the fiber. So don't throw it away. Clean it real good, mix it in. You're gonna get the fiber that you need by eating the skin of these foods. Okay, is there anything in the chat?
Someone had mentioned. Leah had mentioned about the salads that she adds chicken or fish with an easy green, broccoli, cucumber, also walnuts, red onions, and avocado. She says she makes her own salad dressing with olive oil, salt and pepper, mustard, and lemon juice.
Oh, that's actually one of the most popular homemade dressings that I've seen. Sorry, that sounds like a really nice salad. I was picturing all the colors. So you're doing really well. And a lot of people don't add broccoli to their salads. And I think that's a really good idea because broccoli is actually one of the most nutritious vegetables that you can eat. So we're going to get into those 5 food groups. I think on the next in a couple slides. But for now, we're going to talk about breakfast. Why do we need to eat breakfast? A lot of people skip breakfast. And can you feel when you skip breakfast, maybe you can't focus? Maybe you're so hungry that all you can think about is lunchtime, right? So that's why breakfast is important because you want to start your day off right. A lot of times when individuals are trying to lose weight, they'll skip breakfast. But eating breakfast can actually help in weight loss because I know I'm guilty of it a couple times skipping breakfast, but then by the end of the day, you're so hungry because you kind of started off hungry and it just kind of, you start eating so much and you ended up eating more calories than you even wanted to. If you would have just started your day off with a good breakfast, and we're going to talk about what a good quality breakfast is, and it'll help with your overall quality of eating patterns. Like I said, if you skip breakfast, then you might end up eating more than you intended to, and it'll help with your attention and your focus. So what makes a healthy breakfast? We have a 3 out of 5 model. So a grain is recommended. So that could be your bread. It can be an oatmeal. It could be tortillas. It could be rice, quinoa. And then we can have a fruit or a vegetable. I know eating breakfast, vegetables at breakfast is a little weird for some people, but if you think about it, like an omelet or like some scrambled eggs with like some spinach or tomato. I mean, what a lot of people just put like tomato, chile, what is it? Tomate, cebolla, chile, right? In their eggs. Personally, I like to put spinach and zucchini. Sometimes I'll put broccoli, sometimes I'll put sweet potato. So once again, I'm just thinking about all the colors of like the veggies that I can put in my eggs. And I love eggs. And as you can see, the third component of breakfast is either protein or dairy. Dairy has protein in it. And why is it important to eat protein? Protein keeps you fuller longer. It also helps with, if you look up the list of protein benefits, it goes on and on. So just the main things about protein is that it'll keep you fuller longer so that you can focus, so that you can continue to make better choices throughout the day, food choices throughout the day. So once again, a grain, a vegetable, or a fruit, and then a dairy or a protein. So what keeps you from eating a healthy breakfast? I would like to know. I'm always curious to see why people don't eat breakfast. So I'll give you a minute while I drink water and then y'all can answer my question. Any questions or answers? So a lot of time.
So Jaden is saying probably just poor time management. And Andrea said, I usually drink a cup of coffee and then I don't feel hungry after that.
Ah, okay. Andrea, though, I'm curious to know how your hunger is for the remainder of the day, though. If you just have breakfast, like, does it really suppress your hunger? Or do you find yourself like midday just wanting to eat anything and everything? I'm curious. And yeah, for a lot of people, it time is the issue, right? So I'm gonna give you ideas after. Didn't Drea respond? Or more answers.
Luisa said, I do not feel hungry until later in that day, so I usually skip breakfast.
These are the common ones that I hear, right? You're not hungry immediately. There's no time. Um, there's ways around this. And so the focus here, right? The reason, like I said, the reason that we want to eat breakfast is that so we make good food choices for the rest of the day, also so we can focus, right? So when the time comes, for me, I'm not hungry immediately when I wake up either. It's like around 9 or 10 where I get hungry, but then I need to eat something because I can't wait till lunch. It's too long. I can't focus, right? So what I do is I'll make myself like a protein shake or something and I'll bring it with me to work for when I do feel hungry, then I can have it.
And Andrea's reply was, I usually get more hungry at nighttime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, everybody's different. Andrea gets hungry at nighttime. I wonder if what food choices you make. I'm just saying because me, when I don't eat well in the morning, I make bad food choices later on in the day, and I know I'm not alone there. So I'm just curious, but so as I mentioned, one thing to do is make yourself something, and this goes. You have a reply? This goes into time management and not being hungry immediately when you wake up, right? So I'm sure you all have heard of overnight oats. I highly recommend looking up recipes for overnight oats. It takes like 2 minutes at night to prepare it. You just put in some oats, some milk, some cinnamon. That's it if you want to keep it simple. I don't keep it simple. I add all the things. I'll put peanut butter, I'll put chia seeds, I'll put flax seeds, I'll put some fruit in there. And that's for my nighttime. I'll put some cocoa powder because I love chocolate flavors, so I'll put cocoa powder in there too. And in the morning, it takes another minute. Maybe I'll just add blueberries in the morning, and that's it. So yes, it takes some time, but really altogether, it took less than 5 minutes. So not only do I have something to eat when I'm ready, because I put it in a container with the lid, so I can carry it with me wherever, but I also battled that time management because yes, it took a little bit of time, but I'm still preparing for that. So it just takes a little bit of effort to find ways around those barriers, right? So the overnight oats, you can even do like a chia pudding if you guys have any chia seeds around. I know chia seeds can be a little bit pricey. If you go to like Smart and Final, or I don't know of any other restaurants or grocery stores around that have like dispensers. I think Cardenas did, maybe it still does have like this dispenser for chia seeds, and you can get just a little bit and it'll cost you like a couple of dollars. Chia seeds are a healthy fat. They have a lot of protein. They'll keep you fuller longer, and they have a lot of fiber too. Is there any responses? Yeah, so just look up ideas. I mean, I highly encourage you guys to like Google. quick and easy breakfast, right? So yes, we can go without eating our breakfast, but should we? I mean, I'll leave that up to you now that you know why breakfast is important. So here are some other breakfast ideas in the next slide. Um, these are using the three components, right, of a healthy breakfast. So bagel with light cream cheese, and if it's a whole grain bagel, even better. Light cream cheese or peanut butter with some orange juice or an actual orange, those cuties. I love those for like to go. So I'll take like two or three with me because one is not enough, right? So some cuties are a good, like a perfect thing to just take with you. Lydia said she makes healthy smoothies with protein powder, fresh or fruit, oatmeal.
Or eat peanut butter or cream cheese toast with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's actually what we're saying here. That's perfect. The peanut butter, I'm glad that you mentioned peanut butter because peanut butter is a really good way to like have that protein and that healthy fat. That's a really good idea. That's what I do too. I do a protein powdered protein is not just for people that are trying to get buff, right? It's a really good way to get that protein in like as a meal without actually having to sit down and eat it. In my protein shake, I'll just put the protein powder, I'll put a lot of cinnamon, I'll put a tablespoon of chia seeds, tablespoon of flaxseed, and then I'll have almond milk already ready in the refrigerator, and I put frozen bananas in there for that carbohydrate that's going to give my brain energy. So carbohydrates, a lot of people are scared to eat carbohydrates. There are, just like fat, there are healthy carbohydrates and there are unhealthy carbohydrates. So people tend to avoid like breads, tortillas, right? Things like that. It's okay to eat bread and tortillas. It's the quality of these items, and it's also the amount that we eat, right? So um, I just want to speak to carbohydrates because I know that there's like a lot of information out there about like no carbohydrate, low carbohydrate meals. Your body prefers to use carbohydrates as energy. So you need to have carbohydrates if you want to function properly. And you can find carbohydrates in fruits and in vegetables and in whole grains. So as long as you're having these foods, then you're having the proper carbohydrates and you're not avoiding anything that your body actually needs. So a protein powder is a really good way to get that protein, to get that fat with the peanut butter, or even if you want to put an avocado in your protein shake, a lot of people do that. And then or seeds, the chia seeds, flax seeds. It's another way to get that healthy fat and some of that protein. And then like a banana or like a carbohydrate like that. Me, I put it in there because I love like a really cold protein shake. And I love the flavor of banana, and I don't mind that it gives me those healthy carbohydrates also. And then you guys can see on the slide, we have other examples of some breakfast. Cereal with low-fat milk and banana. I just want to be clear about cereal. Not all cereals. In fact, there's like a short list of cereals that are actually healthy. How do you know if if it's healthy? Well, this is when you need to look at the nutrition fact label. Be concerned about sugar. And then ideally your cereal would be a whole grain cereal. So how do you know that? You look at the ingredient list. What's the first word? Is it enriched or is it whole, right? And if it has protein in it, even better. How can you make it more nutritious? I put peanut butter on everything. So I'll put peanut butter on my cereal. I even love dark chocolate chips. Sometimes I'll put dark chocolate chips in my cereal. Antioxidants is what you're going to get from dark chocolate. So antioxidants help your body fight against all these harmful things in the air, in the food, on surfaces. That's why antioxidants are important. And you're going to find antioxidants in fruits, vegetables, berries, avocado. There's, if you look up a list of antioxidants, it's basically going to be most of the foods that are on the 5 food groups. So berries are a really good way to get those antioxidants also. And then you can see a couple of other examples here of breakfast ideas. An English muffin with melted cheese and a sliced pear. Never tried that one. Curious to see how that tastes. And low-fat yogurt topped with almonds and an apple. And I do want to talk about yogurt also. a lot of yogurts have that fruit in it, right? This is when you have to look at the label also, because some brands do a really good job at putting the actual fruit in it, but other brands will put a bunch of added sugar, because when companies put sugar in their foods, it'll make it last longer on the shelf. So that's why you'll see a lot of foods with a lot of sugar or a lot of salt. They both do the same thing. They both extend the shelf life. That's why these are the two main concerns in our diets that make us have health issues in the future: high sodium, high sugar. So that, like I said, a lot of companies put a lot of sugar, a lot of sodium in the food to make it last long on the shelf. That's why we have to read the label, read the ingredient list, read the nutrition fact label, because we want to have as little as these foods as possible. All right, I just wanted to speak about that with yogurt. Try the plain yogurt with no flavor, and just add some peanut butter. Like I said, I put peanut butter on everything. Peanut butter on your yogurt, a bunch of berries, a bunch of cinnamon. I put cinnamon on everything too, and you have a tasty yogurt with natural sugar as opposed to that added sugar that a lot of companies put in there. All right, so now we're gonna go to page 4 and 5 of the book, and we're gonna talk about serving size and actual food groups. Can go to the next slide, please. All right, so how do we know how much we have to eat, right? So we can use this page. We can use our hand, basically. This page is showing us how to use our hand for serving size. So as you can see here, a cheese, like an ounce of cheese is about the size of your finger, which is equivalent, if you think about it, like a cheese stick. Let's see, the salad. This is where it's different. If you're using like a leafy green that's really bulky, one serving is equivalent to 2 hands together, because if you think about it, volume. But if you're thinking like carrots, 1 fist is about the half cup serving. And you'll see on the next page, on page 5, what's the recommended amount to eat. But this is a general guide. When we're talking, if you really want to know specifically how much fruit, how much fruit or vegetables you should eat, if you're curious to see how much water you should drink, how much protein you should be eating, there are these tools online. There's these calculators that you have to put your height, your weight, your gender, how physically active you are, your goals. These all matter when you really, really want to see how much your body needs. So I just wanted to add that in there because, like I said, this is general, but this is a guide. And I just want to talk about protein. Actually, if you see on the very bottom, let's talk chicken. A lot of times we eat more chicken than we need. It's recommended to have 3 to 5 ounces of chicken per meal. This is 3 ounces and it fits on the palm of my hand. And you can see that that's the example on the slide. How many times do we eat chicken that's way bigger than this, right? So we might be overeating within the meals. And yes, we're eating chicken. And yes, it's healthy. Yes, it's a really good protein. It's a lean protein. But our body doesn't need the big slice that's bigger than our hand, right? This is what our body needs, 3 to 5 ounces. A lot of people were shocked by that. Also salmon, this is a 5-ounce portion of salmon. Salmon is another really healthy fat. It's important for your brain health. It's recommended to have seafood twice a week. So salmon, tuna. If you make today's recipe, then check, right? So you all can take a look at this chart at another time in detail, but this is just, like I said, as a guide for y'all to kind of know what are the proper portions that we should be eating. Because a lot of times, yes, we're eating the healthy foods, but we might be eating more than we need. And there's ways to find that out using this chart or also Googling it. All right, next page, please. So these are the 5 food groups, right? In detail. I already spoke to some of the details within the 5 food groups, but this is the opportunity to talk more about them. If you have any questions, please ask. Is there anything else in the chat for now? So, side note, the water is hot enough, but I'm gonna turn it up to get it boiling so that I can put the pasta as soon as it starts boiling. I'm gonna put like I mentioned, the salt when it starts boiling, and then I'll throw in the pasta. Okay, so dairy, as I mentioned, it has natural sugar. Don't be scared of the sugar when you see the nutrition fact label. Be concerned about the sugar when it's a yogurt with fruit in it, right? That's when we have to be a little bit more aware. Cheese, yes, it's good for us. Yes, it has the calcium that it needs because all the foods in the dairy food group have calcium, and we need the calcium for our bones and our teeth, especially as we get older, right? We need to have more calcium. Um, Cheese, though, has a lot of sodium, and it does have a lot of saturated fat, and there are different types of fat. Saturated fat we do need just a little bit. 10% of the fat that we eat throughout the entire day could come from saturated fat, and saturated fat you're going to find in animal products. So cheese, meats, right? Basically animal protein and cheese. Milk, you're going to get saturated fat from, and also coconut. Actually, you might find like individuals that have health issues as they're older, you might find that the doctors are recommending to limit saturated fat. So that's why cheese is sneaky, because yes, it'll have the calcium and it'll have our nutrients, but we can easily eat too much cheese. All right, vegetables and fruits. As I mentioned earlier, eat the rainbow. Think of all the different colors. Let me use carrots as an example. What do they say about are the benefits of eating carrots? Tell me, Melissa. Your vision, yeah. Yeah, and we all hear this, right? So yes, one of the benefits of eating carrots is our vision, but it's also good for our skin, our hair, our nails, our immune system. And it's not because they're carrots, it's because the carrots are orange. And orange contributes to these benefits of this food. So other fruits and vegetables that are orange are sweet potato, pumpkin, mango, banana, right? All the different fruits and vegetables that are this color offer the same nutrients. So that's why it's important to eat the different colors. Red helps with our blood, our heart health. So I always think about like red fruits and vegetables, our heart, because the heart is pumping out that blood, right? In and out. Green. The most amazing I geek out with nutrition, right? So for me, I get really excited talking about like vegetables, especially green vegetables, because yes, all the different colors offer different nutrients, but green has all the benefits of all the colors. So green is important to have just in case you're eating other colors and you miss out on some of those nutrients. If you have at least some spinach or some broccoli, some asparagus, and as I mentioned earlier, the darker the green, the better, the more nutritious. So if you incorporate at least a green, then you're good. You're going to get a lot of those nutrients, and you're also going to get some calcium that you normally would find in dairy. And you're also going to get a little bit of protein, because vegetables have protein also. And you're going to get a lot of fiber, and you're going to get a lot of potassium and magnesium, and the list goes on. So that's why it's important to have fruits and vegetables, eat the rainbow, all the different colors. And you're going to get a lot of antioxidants too. So yeah, eat your fruits and vegetables. So next, grains. And I did talk about grains a little bit, but we have our processed grains, which are, if you read the nutrition fact label, it's going to say enriched. It's recommended, USDA recommends to at least half of the grains that you eat throughout the entire day for them to be whole grain. So you don't have to have 100% whole grain all the time, but half of them at least. And how do you do this? Maybe some whole grain bread, some corn tortillas. Corn is a whole grain, even some popcorn, but not the movie popcorn. The popcorn that you buy the kernels at the store and then you pop it on your own. That is a whole grain. It's going to give you a lot of fiber as well. So that's the recommendation. Oats, oatmeal, you're going to get those whole grains too. And then protein, we have animal-based protein and we have plant-based protein. So our animal-based protein, the leaner, the better. So turkey, chicken, salmon, right? So these are our lean proteins. And then we have our plant-based proteins, and that's going to look like tofu. If y'all haven't had tofu, it's kind of like egg. Okay, yeah, that's a good comparison, but it doesn't taste like egg. It's more like a texture. And there's different textures of tofu. You can get like a firm tofu that's meant for like cutting it in cubes, and you can put it in the air fryer or like the oven. And then there's like soft tofu that you can mimic like scrambled eggs. A lot of vegans will use tofu, soft tofu, to make a like a scramble. And that's your plant-based protein. Also, your garbanzo beans, as I mentioned, they're in the legume family, or chickpeas. People, you can make hummus with this. That's a plant-based protein. A lot of people, you do like a tuna sandwich using garbanzo beans, vegans. So it's a really popular one. And then edamame or soybeans or edamame. If you go like to a sushi place, that's an option to order that as an appetizer. That's also soy, so soy milk. Tofu is a soy product as well. So soy is a really good plant-based protein as well. Next. Okay, so we're trying to focus on the quality of the ingredients, right? So we want to trade it up. We want to eat foods that are nutrient rich, have fewer calories, like fruits and vegetables. So you can choose low fat milk instead of soda. I feel like that's a given. Sugary beverages, unfortunately, they're everywhere, right? They're too available to us, and they're addicting because they have a bunch of sugar, and you can run into some health issues if you consume sugary beverages on a daily basis. So try to replace that soda or a sweetened beverage like sports drinks, energy drinks, coffees that have all these flavors in them. I would recommend trying to reduce the amount of sugar that you drink, because they can add up pretty quickly. So milk is an option. You can do sparkling water. I like to do yeah, sparkling carbonated water. That's what I like to drink because you still get that carbonation. You can do like fruit or vegetable and fruit infused water. I know one of the ones that I like to eat when I make a food demo or drink a food demo for adults is mango and jalapeno water. It's so good if you like jalapeno. It has the flavor. It's not spicy because I take out the seeds, but it has a really good flavor. You can have oatmeal or whole grain cereal in place of a pastry, and then baked chicken instead of fried chicken. So the way you prepare foods has a lot to do with the quality also. So if we fry the food, obviously it's going to have a lot more calories. Baking or air fryer is the next best thing, and it's going to be a lot healthier for you too. Anything in the chat? Okay, so small steps lead to a big change. Real quick, I'm gonna add some salt. I'm putting 1 tablespoon of salt into the water. And I'm gonna give it a little mix. And it's almost boiling. So in about a couple minutes, I'm gonna put that pasta in there. So small steps lead to big change. And this is what I was mentioning earlier, right? So small steps can improve your food choices. And what does this even look like? So you can start your habit. You can see there's some examples there. You will buy a different food, eat slower. It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that it's full. So if you have a big meal in front of you, say you're hungry, you didn't get to eat breakfast. So at lunch or even dinner, you serve yourself so much food because you're so hungry, and you eat it so fast. And then 20 minutes later, you're so full and you regret eating that much, right? If you would have eaten slower, your body would have had the opportunity to tell your brain that it's full, and you would have ended up eating less, and you would have felt better in the end, right? So that's why it's important to eat slow. I know sometimes we don't have the time to eat slow, but if you can, part of self-care is being mindful, right? I don't know if you all have heard of mindful eating. And basically what this is purposefully eating and paying attention to your food. So taking the opportunity to really look at your food, look at the colors, smell it, And then as you're chewing on it, really paying attention to all the flavors that's in there, pay attention to the texture. This really helps you like connect the food with your body. And I don't know, it's part of self-care. So I recommend trying that out if you have the time, because obviously it means that you're going to eat slower, but there's benefits to it. So I recommend it. Watch your portion sizes. So using your hand, um, I think is like one of the best things, because yes, there's like scales and measuring cups and stuff, but that can get a little too, I don't know, some people get a little extreme with that. So that's why just using your hand is a good way to kind of have an idea of how much you should eat, knowing that you're going to avoid overeating. And then eat at home more often. A lot of times, I'm going to put the pasta in here. A lot of times, um, eating out, we don't know how much butter, how much salt, right? How much, we don't even know how much they're putting in the foods when we eat out, even if we're eating like at a place where they give the nutrition facts, right? So you're there and you look up the nutrition facts on their website and you know how many calories you're eating exactly. Well, not always. So that's why eating home, if you can, is always going to be the better option, because you have control over how much you're putting in there, right? So you know how much salt, you know how much butter, you know where the ingredients came from. So that's why it's important to eat at home. It's a better option for you if you have the time and if you have the food at home. And that's why going to the pantry, if you're running low on food at home, going to the pantry is a perfect way to refuel your groceries, and then you can get creative. And as we work with Melissa, um, this is like kind of the beginning of our partnership. If you all come to the pantry more often, you're gonna see some good things going on. We're gonna kind of pair some of the foods for you, suggest meals that you can make with the foods that you're given, along with other things. So I highly recommend you all continue to go to the food pantry. Okay, so I would like for you to share any small steps that you all would like to start with. And I'll give you just a few examples. Say you want to drink more water, or you want to drink less sugary beverages. One that I like to suggest, and this is sounds overwhelming, but it's doable, is say by the end of the year you want to eat veggies at every meal, but you don't know where to start. So how about next week you can start with buying one vegetable, just buy spinach. And then you make that spinach 3 different ways that week. And then the following week, you can try another vegetable, whatever's in season, because as food is in season, it's more affordable and it tastes better too. So whatever's in season, you can buy that, make it 2 or 3 different ways. And then by the end of the year, you will have tried how many vegetables, how many different ways, and you can easily have a vegetable in every meal. So that's a good way to start small, is just one vegetable a week. But I'm open to hear your small steps, and that'll give ideas to everybody else as well. I'll give you all a minute. I'm just mixing the pasta so it doesn't stick. And when it comes to making the pasta, always follow the instructions on the packaging, because depending on the ingredients that are in the package itself, it's not black. What am I trying to say? It's not the same for every pasta. So that's why always read the instructions. I always read the instructions on everything, because there's a reason why there's certain times and temperatures for these foods.
So Alpha is saying portion size is something I want to work on.
Yeah, and that's a big one actually, because like I mentioned earlier, we may be making like the proper food choices, but the amount can get us, we can be overfilled. And so watching those portions is really important. And listening to your body, right? when we're born with the natural ability to listen to our body. I don't know if you've noticed, like little babies, toddlers, little siblings, when they're being fed and they had maybe like 2, 3 spoons and they want to get down. It's either because they want to go play or their stomach is telling them, I'm good, right? They don't eat to the point where they're full. They eat to the point where they're satisfied. Where we run in trouble, and this is how I was raised, I need to finish everything on my plate, right? A lot of times we want the little ones to finish everything on their plate for different reasons. We don't want to waste food, right? But what we're doing is teaching them how to ignore their body, their connection from their stomach to their brain, right? So we, as individuals, as adults that are feeding the little ones, just need to pay attention a little bit more and see, are they really full or do they just want to play? And do they want to get down because they're satisfied? Then let them get down, because we don't want to teach them to have to finish everything on their plate and they end up overeating at every single meal, because that's what we taught them from a small age, right? So that's a really good way to watch your portions, is just to listen to your body and try to find that connection again between your stomach and your brain. Because if you listen to your body, then that's going to be an easy way to know how much you should be eating. And then after that, it turns into kind of just practice. Last time I got full when I had this much, half a cup instead of a cup. So now I know that I only need to eat half a cup in order to be satisfied, and I don't want to end up being too full. Anybody else would like to share? I'm giving you all a minute. I'll give another minute. And I keep mixing it because sometimes it gets stuck, but I also want to see how it's cooking. Another? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So now we're going to talk about physical activity. Next slide, please. So we know that it's important to exercise, but maybe we don't know the benefits. So as we can see here on the list, it improves our energy. We get less stress, endorphins, right, are released. We sleep better. Weight loss and maintenance, we have increased strength, especially if we incorporate weights, which is really recommended. Reduce risk of disease, lower blood pressure, keeps your bones healthy. Yes, your bones need to get stronger, and you can make your bones stronger by exercising, incorporating those weights. And then it improves your concentration and your productivity. And so you can see on the right, we want to aim for the yellow, right? Do more often, run, swim, cycle, basketball, fast walk, fitness classes. It's nice outside. We need to take advantage before it gets too cold, and next summer when it gets too hot, nobody even wants to be outside. So right now is the perfect time to figure out what you like to do outside. Personally, what I like to do is do YouTube videos. You can find anything: kickboxing, yoga, dance, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. So find what you like. And this is how it's going to be sustainable for the rest of your life, is if you find a way to exercise that you will enjoy instead of one that you're going to dread. Because sometimes it's, I don't want to go for a run. And then you don't end up doing it. Well, find something that you like, because then you won't get the benefits of exercising unless you do something that you enjoy and you're able to maintain it for the rest of your life. Next slide, please. Okay, so how much do we have to exercise? So be active for 30 minutes a day. Now, active. This is it. This is just to move, right? So what do we do? It's recommended to do 10-minute sessions. If you don't see yourself being able to 30 minutes a day, break it up, 10 minutes, right? And then you can do walking for 10 minutes. You can do a quick YouTube video of dancing for 10 minutes, or play with your sibling or your child for 10 minutes outside. So if you think about it like that, remember small steps, right? So if you think about it, break it up into small steps, then you'll end up doing 30 minutes, maybe even more. and find ways to move more. If you're find yourself like you're just doing so much homework that you're just sitting down all day long, take a break once an hour, once every 2 hours, just to walk around for 5-10 minutes. It'll help with your focus. It'll help with your body feeling better. When you go to the store, park further away. When you go to a place that has an elevator, try to use the stairs, right? These are ways to get your body to move more and stretch. Stretch is really important, especially when we're feeling a little tight. It's important to stretch and think about when you're 70. If you don't stretch now, how tight, how are you going to be feeling when you're that much older? So if you incorporate stretching now, then you're going to find yourself being able to be move freer. And as it mentions here on the bottom of the slide, for weight loss, work your way up 60 to 90 minutes of exercise a day. That's a long time to exercise if you're trying to lose weight, and it's not 7 days a week, but it does take more effort and more time to burn more calories and lose weight. All right, so there's different types of exercises. There's easy, moderate, and challenging. Basically, if you can talk, it's easy. If your heart's pumping a little bit more and you're having a hard time talking, that's moderate. And if you can't talk and you're just like, "Oh, don't even try to talk to me right now," then that's challenging. It's not recommended to do a challenging workout every single day. Kind of mix it up. So if you can do cardio a couple times a week and then do some strength training the other days, then you're good. It's important to mix it up and do different types of workouts. All right, and then strength training, like lifting weights, push-ups, sit-ups, or yoga. Yoga is one of my favorite things because it's mental mental strength, because you're in the same position for a while and your body is shaking, but you need to focus. And it's also helping on your balance and your flexibility. So I highly recommend trying that. All right, and you can see on this last page is just an opportunity for you to journal your experience with working out. So you mind doing next page, please? And you can kind of journal it, like I said, and keep track of what you're doing. And that way, when you see it on paper, you can tell yourself you need to do more, or you need to do less, or change it up, or try something fun, that. But this is just an opportunity for you all to journal it. Next slide. And the last page is also for more journaling it's a food diary. So if you want to put down the foods that you ate, this is another opportunity for you to, if you can remember what you ate, to see if you need to add more colors, more protein, more fat, in certain foods that you need to look into, like a plain yogurt instead of like a fruit flavored yogurt. Then I highly encourage y'all to check this out or to journal it. And like I said, Melissa in the pantry is going to have these booklets, so you can pick one up whenever you like. She's going to have plenty. Next slide. And set your SMART goals. So this kind of goes into like the small step, making small steps. If you're a SMART goal, I'm pretty sure you all have heard of the SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So I'm going to give you an example. I will buy spinach this week. I'm going to cook it 2 different ways, right? That's a SMART goal, because I gave myself these specific components of the goal that makes it measurable, and I started small so that it's more achievable. So that's just one example of a SMART goal, and doesn't just apply for nutrition. This is just in general life, to set these SMART goals for yourself. And so we're going to end with this quote: "The self is not something ready-made, but something in continuous formation through choice of action." So this is your choice. You make these healthy food choices, these unhealthy food choices. But now that you have a little bit more information about nutrition, hopefully this guides you to making better nutritious choices. Next slide, please. And here's some additional tools. I know Melissa does a really great job of providing you all with lots of resources, but if you need any more information, Melissa can share my information with you. We can either do like a separate nutrition class, or I can share a lot more resources with you, but this is just a few here. And so we're going to get into the recipe. Yay. So perfect timing because the pasta is ready. Keep in mind when you're making pasta, make sure that you have a pot that is going to provide a lot of space. Like the pasta needs to be swimming around in it because it's going to expand. So you want to just make sure that you have a lot of space for that pasta to be able to do so. Otherwise, it's going to get all gooey and sticky. So like I said, this is perfect. It's nice and poofy. I'm going to pass the pan to Melissa because she's going to go drain it. And so while she drains it, I'm going to show you everything else. I'll let you grab it. It's recommended when you drain the pasta to rinse it off with some cold water to stop the cooking. Because if you just leave it like that, then it might cook more, right? And then it's going to get gooey. It's recommended to boil the pasta al dente, which means that it's not super, super soft. But to each their own. So as you can see in the kits, you also had tomato sauce. So that's what I have here. We have some tomato sauce. And then black beans. Remember, black beans are plant-based protein. We also have animal-based protein in the form of tuna. So I just opened a can of tuna, put it in there. And then, can't really see it in here, but because the recipe says spaghetti sauce and we have tomato sauce, it's not the same, right? So I just looked up, I Googled a recipe for making a spaghetti sauce using tomato sauce. I mean, the base is the same because it is from tomato. So so all you have to do is season it up to make the tomato sauce into a pasta sauce. So here's the pasta drained out and I put a bowl under it because it's going to continue to drip. So, okay, so we're going to start with the tomato sauce. And I'm just going to pour it because we're going to kind of combine and we're going to let it heat up for about 5 minutes. So we have the tomato sauce here and this is 1 full can. And so what is recommended on the recipe is 1.5 cups of spaghetti sauce. This is a little over 1.5 cups. This is 15 ounces and 1.5 cups is 12 ounces. I like my pasta a little bit saucy, so I don't mind using the entire can. It's up to you, whatever y'all prefer. So here's the tomato sauce. And I put it down to medium. Now, in order to make the tomato sauce more of a spaghetti sauce, like I said, you just add a bunch of herbs. So what I have here is the recipe that I looked up. It calls for 1 teaspoon of sugar. Like I said, it puts sugar in everything. You'll be surprised. A lot of spaghetti sauces have sugar in them. So 1 tablespoon of sugar, that's 1 little packet. That's not going to hurt you. It's okay to put a little bit of sugar in there. Then you have onion powder, garlic powder, oregano, salt, and pepper. So I'm just going to add that all in here. Mix it up a little bit. Seasonings. This is general. If you buy in bulk, it's going to be a lot more affordable. So I definitely recommend buying in bulk. Unfortunately, here in the Valley, it's limited as to where we can buy in bulk. So I think, like I mentioned earlier, Smart and Final and maybe Cardenas have those dispensers where you can buy in bulk. I'm going to put in some beans. This isn't the whole can of beans. I'm going to leave this up to your preferences, however many beans that you want in there. This is going to be a very high protein meal because, like I said, it has plant-based protein and it also has animal-based protein. So then we're going to put the tuna in there. And actually, I'm just going to break up the tuna a little bit. I don't want it super, super big chunks of tuna. This is whatever you all prefer. I'm just breaking it down. And that's it for the sauce. So I'm just gonna give this a couple of minutes to really, really absorb all the flavors. I do want to mention a couple of pointers when we're talking about buying food and reducing waste, right? So there are different ways that we can reduce our waste. And as we go on, there's more awareness into reducing waste, right? But we all need to do our part in order to reduce that waste. And there's a lot of things that we can do, starting with, and this is not just reducing waste, but it's also helping with our budget, right? So when we buy foods, this might be a given, but a lot of people might not do this. When you buy like new foods, put them in the back so that you use the older foods first. A lot of times food gets lost in the back, and then a year later we're like, oh, I didn't even know I had this, and so you ended up having to throw it away. Right? Because yeah, it was hidden. Another thing when it comes to fruits and vegetables, if you can buy frozen, I think that's a better choice sometimes, because if you go to the store and you buy all this fresh produce with every intention of using it, but then you don't get to it, and then by the time you see it and you want to use it, it already went bad. So you end up, losing out on some money because it went bad, right? So what I like to do is buy frozen fruits and vegetables. That's my go-to. It's affordable, it lasts longer, and it's just as nutritious. A lot of people think that frozen foods don't have as many nutrients as the fresh produce, but it does. It really does. And so I do recommend doing frozen fruits and vegetables if you see yourself throwing away some money by throwing away that produce because it went bad before you were able to cook it.
Just to mention, yes, tuna is added to the sauce. And the sauce is cooking right now with the seasonings and tuna.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I made this beforehand just to see, how it was gonna go. I made it with just the beans, and I made it with just the tuna, just to try it individually. And personally, I found that combining the two tasted better. But that's why you guys have the liberty of just trying it on your own. And if you're not a fan of tuna, maybe throw in some chicken or some like ground beef, and the beans are going to be that plant-based protein plus a lot of fiber. So I definitely recommend keeping the beans, or if you want to do just the beans, then that's okay too, because it is a protein, and every meal should have a protein so that you're fuller longer. So yeah, this is all of it combined together. Ande? Yeah, okay, so this is pretty ready, and we use all canned food today. And I do want to emphasize that, yes, we have these printed dates on the canned foods, but there is a lot of canned food that you can still eat 2-3 years later, past the date, and it's still good. So that saves you money. Actually, I put the entire thing in here, right? So that's going to save you money, because you're not tossing things if you follow the date exactly. So now the question is, well, how do I know what I can keep longer than the date or not? This is going to be some information that I'm going to provide for you when you come to the pantry. Then there's going to be some handouts that I'm going to leave with Melissa, and it's going to be like as a guide, and it's going to tell you which foods you can keep past their expiration date and for how long. So you'll see that that's going to end up saving you some money. So what I'm doing is just mixing it up really, really well. At this point, you all can taste test. Do you want to add more salt, more pepper? Do you want to add some salsa? I don't know, something. I love my food spicy, so I would probably add some crushed pepper to this because I want it to be spicy. And so that's it for following the recipe. Now I'm gonna serve some so Melissa can try it. We'll all try it. And so you can see this was pretty easy, right? So all we did was boil the pasta, and then we just combined the sauce and seasonings and the proteins, and that's it. So this is what it looks like. Should I get up close? Let me get up close so you can see it really good. So this is what it looks like. We have our pasta with our beans and our tuna and our macaroni. So because it is tomato sauce, it can go an Italian route or it can go a Mexican route. So if you prefer to have like those Mexican flavors in it, you can do that. But if you want some of this with some whole grain bread and a little bit of butter, a little Caesar salad on the side to have a full-on Italian meal, have at it too. Cheese? Yes. Oh, I would definitely add cheese to it too. Low fat or part skim mozzarella, I think is a good option. I don't know if you all know this, but when you buy milk, or if you've noticed, when you buy cheese that's shredded already, it might take longer to melt. And that's because there's some ingredients in there that just so that it lasts longer on the shelf. So if you want like a good cheese to melt, I recommend buying the block. And sometimes the block is more affordable anyway. So if you buy the block of cheese and then just shred it, you're going to see that it's going to melt way more beautifully. And so, yes, definitely cheese is a good thing to add to get that dairy in here. Moment of truth.
It's good.
It's good. Yes. All right. So if you guys don't finish this, you could put it in the refrigerator for 3 to 5 days. Let it cool down first before you put it in the refrigerator. If you want to freeze it, you can do that. It'll last months in the freezer if you really want to save it for a day that you don't feel like cooking. You just want to like heat it up. You can do that too. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'll give you a minute.
Oh, and I would like to add just that this is being recorded, so I'll be sending out this recording if you want to watch it back, if you want to share it with someone, a friend, someone you know, a professor. Encourage them to watch it and learn more about nutrition. And yeah.
And if you all come, there's a lot of things I'm leaving with Melissa. Also, this is a good tool for cooking. Let me get closer. This is a magnet, and this is basically a conversion chart for you. So I think this is a really good tool to have on the refrigerator. So these are awesome. I'm gonna have a big stack for you guys with Melissa. So if you want to come in and get that as well. Well, thank you all for your time. I hope you come into the pantry to check it out if you haven't already and get these awesome resources that I'm leaving for you all.
And send me pictures. You can send it to our Instagram page, SDSU IV Food Pantry. If you make this recipe or did it already right now with us, or through email. So, but please send them my way.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your interaction. I really appreciate it. And like I said, if you all need anything else, you can get my information from Melissa. Thank you.